If one day you notice you have no shadow, do not look down. Run. Elena Weiss learned that too late. The last train left Erlangrund at 6:17 p.m., leaving behind trembling rails and a silence so complete it felt unnatural. The station was empty, no voices, no movement, only the wind dragging itself along stone walls. Elena stood alone, one suitcase in her hand, one envelope in her pocket. She had read it too many times. Inheritance, Helena Weiss, property, house number 7, Raben Hill. There was only one problem. Elena did not remember her mother ever living here. In her memory, Helena died in Munich. A hospital room, white walls, the smell of antiseptic, a hand growing colder in hers. But the official record said otherwise. Erlangrund, a place she had never heard of until 3 days ago. Outside the station, a single car waited. Black, old. The driver watched her before she even reached the door. "You're going to the house on the hill." Not a question. "Yes." "You came late." "The train." "Not today." He opened the trunk but didn't touch her luggage. Elena got in. The road climbed through dark trees, tall pines, thin fog, no lights, no people, no sound. "Is it always like this?" she asked. "After the bell?" "What bell?" 7. "And if someone goes out after that?" The driver didn't look at her. They only do it once. The car reached the top. The house appeared. Large, gray, wrong. Windows like narrow eyes, no light, but watching. The car stopped. "Elena," the driver said quietly, "leave before the bell if you still can." She checked her phone. 6:54. She stepped out. Cold air wrapped around her. She looked down. The car had a shadow. The gate had a shadow. The driver had a shadow. Elena didn't. She stepped left. Nothing. Right. Nothing. "Do you see this?" she whispered. The driver didn't answer. He was staring at the house. "It knows you're back." Elena turned. The front door was opening. Slowly. From the darkness inside, a pale hand appeared. Not reaching out. Pulling the door wider. And just before Elena realized the hand had no shadow, the door opened completely. The door did not open by accident. It opened like it had been expecting her. "Elena," the driver said, "I leave at the first bell." She didn't turn. "What's your name?" "Matthias." "You knew my mother?" "Yes." "Did she live here?" A pause. She tried to close it. Close what? But the car was already gone. Elena stood alone. The doorway breathed cold air, old wood, dust, something buried too long. She stepped inside. The hall was wide, black and white floor, curved staircase, paintings covered in white cloth, dust everywhere, except for a narrow path across the floor, clean. A clock ticked. Tick-tock, tick. Her phone read 7:03, and the clock read 6:21. She touched it. It trembled, then slid back. 6:21. She pulled her hand away. "Just broken," she whispered. Her voice sounded wrong. On the fireplace stood a photograph. A little girl, 6 years old, brown hair, gray-blue eyes. Elena, no doubt. But the woman beside her was not Helena. On the back, Elise and daughter. Autumn 1998, Elise. Upstairs, a footstep, soft, heavy, slow. "Elena," she called. Silence. She climbed, each step colder. A faint scent drifted through the air. Old perfume, dry, sweet, dead. At the top stood a covered painting. The cloth moved, not from wind, from behind. A face pressed against it, shifting, breathing. Then it began to open its mouth. Elena pulled the cloth away. A portrait, a woman in black. Hands folded, eyes fixed forward. The background was this hallway, but older. And on the wall behind her, a door that no longer existed. Name below, Elise Varga. The woman from the photograph. The The lips moved. Not imagination, not light. They moved. A dry whisper. Elena leaned closer. The woman spoke. Not Elena. Ava. The name struck something deep inside her. Not memory, something older. Elena. This time, not from the painting, from behind her. She turned. No one, but on the floor. Footprints appeared. Small, wet. A child's steps. 1, 2, 3. They moved past her downstairs. Elena followed. She didn't want to, but she did. They stopped at a small door, low, locked. Black liquid seeped out beneath it, not water, something thicker. From inside, knocking. 3 times, calm, certain. Then, the bell rang. The house trembled. A mirror screamed. From the inside. Elena turned. In the mirror, she stood in the hall, but in reality, she was kneeling at the door. The reflection looked up, smiled, placed a finger to its lips, then it looked behind her, as if something had just stepped closer. And it whispered, "Don't turn around. It's smelling your hair." Elena did not sleep that night. She sat in a chair with all the lights on, her back pressed against the wall, waiting. The house never made a sound when she looked directly at it. But the moment her eyes shifted, footsteps began again. Slow, measured, always just out of sight, moving behind her, around her, stopping when she turned, continuing when she didn't. By morning, her body ached from staying still. At dawn, she left. The village looked normal in daylight, stone streets, a small church, one inn. But everyone watched her, not with curiosity, with recognition and fear. Inside the inn, warmth wrapped around her like something artificial. A woman stood behind the counter, gray hair tied low, black dress. She placed a cup of coffee in front of Elena before she could ask. "You stayed after the bell?" Elena stared at her. "You know the house?" "Everyone does." "You knew my mother?" The woman didn't answer immediately. "I knew the one who raised you." Elena froze. "What does that mean?" The woman opened a drawer and took out a leather-bound journal. "Helena left this. For you." Elena grabbed it and opened the first page. "If you are reading this, it has already called you back." She flipped to the next page. Only one sentence. "Your real mother is still in the basement." Elena looked up slowly. "Is this true?" The woman's face had gone pale. "I know Helena took a child from that hill." "You mean me?" "I mean, no one goes there anymore." "Why?" The woman leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Because the house does not keep the dead." She paused, then whispered, "It keeps shadows." At that exact moment, the bell rang. Every window in the inn shattered at once. Elena returned before night. Not because she was brave, because she couldn't not go back. The house stood exactly as she had left it, silent, waiting. Inside, the air felt heavier, closer, as if the walls had moved inward while she was gone. She locked herself in a room and opened the journal again. Elise believed the house was not a home. She believed it was a door. Elena read faster. The ritual separated the soul from the body. She tried it on her daughter. Elena's hands began to shake. When I entered the basement, the child was tied to a chair. Her shadow was no longer under her. It stood on the wall. Elena stopped breathing. She turned the page. Something came through the mirror that night. I took the child and ran. But on the way down the hill, she asked me. Elena's eyes locked on the last line. "Where is my shadow?" A sound. Outside the door. Footsteps soft, slow, familiar. 1, 2, 3. They stopped directly outside. No knock, no voice, just presence. Then something began to slide under the door, a shadow. Thin at first, then wider, then shaping itself. It stretched across the floor, rising, forming, becoming. Elena couldn't move. shape grew taller, shoulders, arms, a head. It stood in front of her, and when it finished taking form, it was her. The figure did not move immediately. It stood there perfectly still, as if waiting for Elena to recognize it. Same height, same face, same scars, same eyes. But something was wrong, something missing, or something extra. The shadow behind it was too dark, too solid, like it belonged more to the room than to the body. Elena forced herself to speak. "Who are you?" The figure tilted its head slightly, then smiled. "That depends." A pause. Too calm, too certain. "Which one of us left?" Elena's breath caught. "That's not possible." The other Elena took one slow step forward. No sound. "You went away," it said quietly. "I stayed." "No, you were taken." Another step. "I was kept." Elena backed into the wall. "You're not real." The figure stopped, then leaned closer. Close enough for Elena to feel something cold. Not air, not breath. Something else? "Then why do you remember the name Ava?" Elena froze. The room seemed to shrink. "I never told anyone that." The figure smiled wider. "You didn't have to." Silence stretched between them, heavy, suffocating. Then the figure whispered, "It's waiting downstairs." Elena didn't remember deciding to move. One moment she was pressed against the wall, the next she was stepping past the thing that looked like her. It didn't stop her. It didn't try to block the door. It simply watched. "Good," it said softly behind her. "You should see it." The hallway felt longer than before, the air thicker. The clock in the main hall was still ticking, but slower now. Each second dragged like something resisting time itself. Elena reached the small door at the end of the corridor. The same door? The one from before? The one with the black liquid seeping underneath? This time it was already unlocked. She didn't touch the handle. It turned on its own. The door opened inward. Darkness waited below. A staircase, narrow stone, leading down. Elena stood at the top, gripping the frame. Behind her, she could feel it, not touching, not breathing, just there, watching, waiting. "Go," the other Elena whispered. "She's been waiting for you longer than I have." Elena stepped down, one step, then another. The temperature dropped with each movement. The walls were damp, the air thick with something old, something buried. At the bottom, the space opened into a low, wide room, the basement. The smell hit first. Damp stone, burnt wood, and something else, something like skin left too long in darkness. Elena raised her phone for light. The beam shook. Not from her hand, from something deeper. The room was wrong. The walls were covered in faint markings, circles, lines, symbols scratched deep into the stone. In the center stood a chair, small, wooden, old, leather straps hanging loose from its sides. Elena couldn't breathe. She knew that chair. She had never seen it, but she knew it. A sound came from the far wall, a soft, dragging noise. Slow, wet. Elena turned the light toward it. The beam flickered, then steadied. There was a door, iron, rusted, slightly open. Something moved behind it, not stepping, not walking, shifting, sliding. Elena took a step closer. The door creaked wider. The darkness behind it pulsed. Then a voice came from inside, weak, broken, familiar. "Ava!" Elena froze. The name pulled something inside her tight. "Ava, is that you?" The voice trembled, human, almost. Elena stepped forward. "Who's there?" Silence, then the voice again. Closer now. "I've been waiting so long." The light shook harder. The air thickened, and just as Elena reached for the door, something moved behind her. She didn't turn immediately. She couldn't. Every instinct told her not to. But the sound was there, close, too close. A soft step, then another. Not coming from the stairs, from inside the room. Elena's breath slowed, her grip tightened. "You shouldn't have come down here alone," the voice behind her said. It was her voice, the other Elena, but different now, flatter, colder. "I told you," it continued, "this is where it remembers." Elena turned, slowly. The other Elena stood at the base of the stairs, but something had changed. The shadow behind it was no longer still. It moved on its own, stretching along the wall, crawling upward, splitting into shapes that didn't match the body. "What is this place?" Elena asked. Her voice barely held. The other Elena smiled. "This is where you were left." A pause. "And where I was born." Elena shook her head. "No." The other one stepped closer. "You think you were taken away?" Another step. "You think you escaped?" It leaned in, close enough for Elena to see its eyes clearly, too still, too empty. "You were never the whole one." The air in the basement shifted. The symbols on the walls seemed to darken, as if something inside them had woken up. The iron door behind Elena creaked wider. The voice inside whispered again. "Don't listen to it." Elena flinched. The other one's expression changed. Just for a second. Irritation. Then calm again. "That voice," it said softly, "is not your mother." Elena's heart slammed against her ribs. "Then what is it?" The other one didn't answer. Instead, it stepped aside, giving her a clear view of the iron doorway. "Go ahead," it said. "See for yourself." Elena turned back toward the door. The darkness inside shifted again. The shape behind it moved forward, slowly, too slowly, as if it had been learning how. Elena raised the light. The beam touched something pale, a hand, thin, trembling, human, but wrong. The fingers bent too far, the skin stretched too tight. And then the face followed, emerging from the darkness. Elena stopped breathing, because the face looking back at her was her mother's, but the eyes were not. "Ava," the thing whispered again. The voice cracked, almost breaking into something else. "Come closer." Elena couldn't move. Behind her, the other Elena spoke quietly. That's what it learned first. The thing in the doorway tilted its head, too far, too unnatural. It learned her voice. Another step forward. Then it learned her face. The light flickered. The air thickened. Elena's chest tightened. "And now," the other Elena whispered right behind her ear, "it wants yours." The thing lunged. Elena didn't think. She moved. Her body reacted before her mind could catch up. She stumbled backward as the thing lunged out of the iron doorway, its movement jerky, unfinished, like something still learning how to be human. Its hand missed her face by inches. The skin brushed her cheek. Cold, damp, wrong. Elena fell hard against the stone floor. The light in her hand spun across the room, casting wild shadows that twisted along the walls. The thing stopped. Not because it couldn't move, because it was looking at her, studying her. Its head tilted slowly, like it was comparing what it saw to something it remembered. "Not yet," it whispered, its voice slipping between tones. Helena's voice. Then something deeper, something hollow. Elena crawled backward, her breath shaking. Behind her, the other Elena stood perfectly still, watching, not helping. "Why isn't it attacking?" Elena gasped. The other Elena didn't answer immediately, then quietly, "Because it's not sure which one of us it wants." The words hit harder than the fall. Elena turned her head slowly. "What?" The other one stepped closer. Its shadow stretched across the floor toward the thing in the doorway, as if they were drawn to each other. "You were taken before it finished," it said. "I stayed long enough for it to learn." The thing in the doorway twitched. Its eyes shifted between them, calculating, choosing. Elena pushed herself up, shaking. "Then what happens now?" The other Elena smiled faintly. "Now, it decides which version of you is more real." The air in the basement dropped suddenly. The symbols on the walls pulsed faintly. The thing moved again. Not toward Elena, toward the other one. Slowly, carefully, like approaching a mirror. Elena watched, frozen. The distance between them closed, inch by inch. The thing raised its hand. The other Elena didn't move, didn't flinch, just waited. And just before they touched, the thing stopped. Its head jerked violently toward Elena, as if something had called it back. From deep inside the house, the walls groaned, the floor trembled, and then every shadow in the room shifted at once. The light flickered, then steadied, then flickered again. Elena felt it before she saw it. The shadows were no longer attached to anything, not the walls, not the floor, not the bodies. They were moving slowly, like a tide pulling inward, toward the center of the room, toward the chair, the small wooden chair, the one with the straps. Elena's chest tightened. "No," she whispered. The other Elena turned toward it too. For the first time, something like fear crossed its face. The shadows slid across the floor, merging together, thickening, darkening. The air became heavy, hard to breathe. The thing from the doorway stepped back, not retreating, yielding, making space. The shadows gathered beneath the chair, then rose, forming taller, wider, something without edges, without shape. And then a voice, not from the doorway, not from the other Elena, from the shadows themselves. "Ava." It spoke the name slowly, carefully, like tasting it. Elena's knees weakened. The other Elena didn't speak, didn't move. The voice continued. "You left unfinished." Elena shook her head. "No, you were divided." The shadows climbed higher, forming something that almost resembled a body, almost. "And now, you return." The chair creaked. The straps lifted slightly as if touched by invisible hands. Elena stepped back. "I'm not going near that." The voice didn't react, it simply continued. "One must remain." A pause. The shadows shifted. "One must be taken." Elena's heart slammed. "Taken where?" No answer. The other Elena finally spoke, very softly. "Into the house." Elena turned to it. "That doesn't make sense." The other one looked at her, calm again, too calm. "You still think the house is a place?" A beat. "It isn't." The shadows surged upward. The shape became clearer. A figure, tall, thin, faceless, watching. Elena couldn't breathe. "Then what is it?" The other Elena stepped closer to her. "It's a container." The figure turned its head toward Elena, slowly, deliberately. And for the first time, Elena felt something looking directly into her, not at her face, not at her body, into her, and it chose. Everything went still. Even the shadows stopped moving. The figure shifted forward, not walking, gliding. The air bent around it. The room seemed smaller, closer. Elena couldn't move. Her body refused. Her breath locked in her chest. The figure reached out, not toward her face, toward her chest, toward where something inside her pulsed. The other Elena stepped between them, fast, for the first time, fast. "No," it said. The word echoed, not just from its mouth, from the walls, from the floor, from inside Elena's head. The figure paused. The shadows trembled. The other Elena stood in front of her, blocking it, protecting her, or claiming her. Elena didn't know which. "You don't take her?" it said quietly. The figure tilted its head, as if confused, as if considering. Then the shadows behind it shifted again, and Elena saw something she hadn't noticed before. There were more shapes in the darkness, not one, many, all watching, all waiting, all unfinished. The figure spoke again, but this time it wasn't alone. "Then we take both." And the shadows surged forward. The shadows surged forward. Elena couldn't move. They weren't just coming from the floor anymore. They were everywhere. Walls, ceiling, corners, all sliding toward her, cold, heavy, hungry. The other Elena grabbed her arm hard. "Move!" Elena stumbled back. The floor felt wrong, soft, as if it was breathing. The chair in the center creaked again. The straps lifted, then snapped tight, like something had just been pulled into place. The figure turned, slowly, its head tilted toward them, choosing, always choosing. "Run," the other Elena whispered. This time, Elena didn't hesitate. They ran up the stairs, fast, too fast. The steps blurred. The air behind them thickened. Something followed. Not footsteps, not sound. Pressure, like being chased by something that didn't need to move. Elena reached the door. She slammed it shut. The impact shook the frame. For a second, silence. Then, something hit the other side. Not once. Again. The wood bent inward. Elena backed away, breathing hard. The other Elena stood still, listening. Then, it smiled. "They're learning." Elena stared at it. "What does that mean?" The smile widened. "It means they don't need the basement anymore." A crack split the wall behind them. Thin, black, moving like something was pushing through from the other side. Elena turned. Too late. The crack widened, and a hand began to push through from inside the wall. The hand forced its way out, fingers first, then the wrist. Skin stretched too tight, too pale. It twitched, like it didn't remember how to move. Elena stumbled back. No. The wall cracked wider. More hands, not one, many, pushing through, clawing, reaching. The house wasn't holding them anymore. It was letting them out. The other Elena didn't move, didn't run. It was watching, studying, like this was expected. "Why aren't you scared?" Elena whispered. The other one turned to her slowly. "Because this is what I was made for." The hands pulled themselves further into the room. Bodies followed, half-formed, wrong, incomplete. Faces without features, limbs bending the wrong way, all moving, all searching for her. Elena's chest tightened. "They're looking at me." The other Elena stepped closer. "Yes," a pause. "They can feel which part of you is missing." Elena shook her head. "I'm not missing anything." The other one leaned in, close, too close. "You are." A whisper. "Your shadow never came with you." The room shifted, the light dimmed, the creatures froze, all at once. Then, slowly, they all turned. Not toward Elena, toward the other one, and for the first time, it stepped back. Something changed. The air dropped, colder, sharper. The creatures didn't move, they just stared. At the other Elena, not at her face, not at her body, at the shadow behind her. It was different now, not flat, not attached. It moved on its own, stretching, twisting, trying to pull away. The other Elena's expression broke. Just for a second. Fear. Real fear. "No," it whispered. The shadow peeled off the floor, slowly, like something tearing away from skin. The creatures reacted all at once. They stepped forward, hungry, drawn to it. Elena watched, frozen. "What's happening?" The other Elena didn't answer. It grabbed its own arm, as if trying to hold itself together. "They're taking it back." The shadow lifted higher, detached now, floating, alive. The creature surged forward, reaching, clawing. The other Elena screamed, not in pain, in rage. It lunged at them, fighting, holding on, but the shadow kept rising, slipping away. Elena felt something shift inside her chest, a pull, deep, violent. The shadow turned, not toward the creatures, toward her. "No," Elena whispered. The other Elena saw it too. Its eyes widened, for the first time. Truly afraid. "If it goes back to you?" A pause, breath shaken. "Then I disappear." The shadow drifted closer. Slow. Inevitable. Elena couldn't move, couldn't breathe. It reached her, and just before it touched her, the lights went out. The House Without Shadows, Part 6. Darkness. Not the kind you see, the kind you feel. It pressed against Elena from every side. Cold, heavy, alive. She couldn't see her hands, couldn't see the floor, couldn't even tell if her eyes were open. Then, a sound, a breath, not hers, right in front of her. Elena froze. The air shifted. Something moved. Close, too close. Then, a whisper. "Ava." The name wrapped around her, soft, familiar, wrong. A faint glow appeared, not light, something weaker, like a memory trying to become visible. Shapes formed. Slowly, the basement, but different, empty, still. The chair was gone, the symbols were gone, the walls, clean. Elena stood alone, her breath shaking. "What is this?" No answer, only silence, then footsteps behind her. She turned. A child stood there, 6 years old, thin, still, looking at her. It was her. Not the other one, not the copy, the original, the version that had never left. "Why did you go?" the child asked. Elena couldn't speak. "I waited." A step closer. "You said you come back?" Elena shook her head. "I didn't leave you." The child tilted its head, confused, then hurt. "Yes, you did." The space around them trembled. The air cracked. The house was still here, just deeper, hidden under everything else. "You took everything," the child whispered. "My name, my voice, my life." Elena stepped back. "I didn't choose that." The child moved closer, too close. "You kept it." A pause, cold, sharp, "and left me here." The ground shifted, the darkness returned. The walls broke apart. The child's face changed, not angry, not sad, empty. "You don't belong out there," it said quietly. "You belong here." The darkness surged, and something else came with it, a shape, tall, faceless, watching, waiting. It had been here the whole time. Elena realized this wasn't a memory. This was the place the house had taken from her, and it was closing. The figure stepped forward, slow, effortless. The space bent around it. Elena tried to move. Her body didn't respond. The child stood beside her now, still, silent, watching. "They're the same," the child said. "They always become the same." Elena forced her voice out. "What do you want?" The figure didn't answer. It didn't need to. It raised its hand, and the darkness followed. The ground beneath Elena cracked, splitting, opening, like something beneath was breathing. The child took another step closer. "You can stay with me." A pause, soft, almost kind. "We can be whole again." Elena shook her head. "No." The word felt weak, pointless. The figure moved closer. The air grew thinner, harder to breathe. The darkness climbed up her legs, cold, pulling. The child reached out. Elena stared at the hand, small, familiar, wrong. "If you take it," the child whispered, "you won't have to be afraid anymore." Behind them, a sound, faint, distant, someone calling her name. Elena. Not Ava, Elena. She froze. The child's expression changed, just slightly. Don't listen. The voice came again, closer. Elena, wake up. The darkness flickered. The figure paused. Something was interfering. The child grabbed her wrist. Hard. Stay. The voice cut through again, sharper now. Elena! The world cracked. The darkness split. Light forced its way in, and the child screamed. Elena's eyes snapped open. She was on the floor. Back in the house. The real house. The walls. The staircase. The broken door. Everything shaking. The other Elena was on the ground nearby. Breathing hard. Alive. Barely. What happened? Elena gasped. The other one didn't answer. It was staring at the floor. Elena followed its gaze and felt her chest stop. There was a shadow beneath her, clear, solid, attached. For the first time since she arrived, her shadow had returned. But it wasn't moving with her. Elena slowly lifted her hand. Her shadow didn't follow. It stayed still. Then, it moved. On its own. The other Elena whispered, "No." The shadow twisted, stretched, pulled itself away from her feet, like something detaching, like something waking up. Elena stepped back, heart racing. What is it doing? The other Elena stood, slow, unsteady. It's not yours anymore. The shadow rose, forming, taking shape, a body, familiar, too familiar. Elena's breath caught, because the face forming in front of her was neither hers nor the other Elena's. It was something new, and it was smiling. The shape finished forming, slowly, deliberately, like it was enjoying the moment. Elena couldn't move, her eyes locked on it. The face was wrong, not fully hers, not fully the other Elena's. Something in between, something unfinished. But the smile, that was new, cold, certain, aware. You took too long, it said. The voice was layered, 2 tones, then 3, then something deeper beneath all of them. Elena stepped back. What are you? The thing tilted its head, studying her. Something you left behind. A pause, its smile widened. And something you brought back. The other Elena moved. Fast. She stepped between them. You don't get to speak, she said. The thing didn't react, didn't move, didn't even blink. You think I need permission? Its voice shifted again, closer now, inside Elena's head. I was always here. The floor trembled, the walls cracked. The house responded, not to Elena, not to the other one, to it. Elena felt it, a pull, deep, inside her chest. The same pull as before, but stronger now. The thing raised its hand, and Elena's body reacted. Without her, she stepped forward. No! She tried to stop. She couldn't. The other Elena grabbed her, held her back. Fight it, she said. Elena's vision blurred. The world stretched. The thing stepped closer. Why are you resisting? It asked softly. You know what happens next. Elena shook her head. I'm not you. The thing smiled. No. A pause. You're what's left. The house groaned. The walls shifted inward, closing. The thing turned slightly, looking around, as if checking something. Then it nodded. They're coming. Elena's heart dropped. Who? The answer came immediately, from everywhere, from every wall, every crack, every shadow. We are. The house split open and the darkness poured out. They came from the walls. From the floor, from the ceiling, from places that shouldn't exist. Shapes, bodies, half-formed, wrong, all moving, all watching, all reaching. The thing didn't move. It stood at the center, still, calm, in control. They remember you, it said. Elena's breath shook. Remember what? The creatures moved closer, surrounding her, not attacking, waiting. For what you were before, the thing answered. Elena felt it again, the pull, stronger. Her chest tightened. Something inside her shifted, pain, sharp, deep. She dropped to her knees. "What is this?" The other Elena knelt beside her. "You're breaking," she said. Elena grabbed her arm. "No, help me." The other one didn't move, didn't pull her up, just watched. "You can't stay like this." A pause, her voice changed, colder, more certain. "You have to choose." Elena looked up. "What?" The thing stepped closer. The creatures parted for it. "You were split," it said. "Now you recombine." Elena shook her head. "No." The pain grew. Her vision doubled. 2 rooms, 2 versions, overlaying, fighting. "You don't get to refuse," the thing continued. "This was decided when you left." The other Elena stood, stepped back, away from her. "Elena," a pause, something like regret, or something pretending to be it. "If you take it back." Elena stared at her, breath breaking. "Then what happens to you?" The other one didn't answer, didn't look at her. The silence was enough. Elena understood. One remains, one disappears. The thing raised its hand again. The shadows surged. The creatures leaned in, watching, waiting. "Choose," it said. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. Everything went quiet. Then she felt something move inside her. Not pain, not fear, something else. Memory, a voice, soft, distant, the child. "Don't let it decide." Elena's eyes snapped open, and she made her choice. She moved. Not toward the thing, not toward the shadows, toward the other Elena, fast, before anyone could react. She grabbed her, hard, pulled her close. "What are you doing?" "No more splitting," Elena said, her voice steady for the first time. "We end it." The thing stopped smiling. For the first time, it reacted. "You don't understand." Elena didn't listen. She held the other Elena tighter. The pull inside her snapped, shifted, changed direction. The shadows surged violently. The creatures screamed. Not in anger, in resistance. The house shook, cracking, breaking. "What are you doing?" the other Elena gasped. Elena looked at her directly. "No more choosing." A pause. "We merge." The other Elena's eyes widened. "No, if you do that, I know." Elena tightened her grip. The pull intensified, both of them being dragged inward, together. The thing stepped forward, fast. No. For the first time, fear. Real fear. "You don't get to change the outcome." Elena smiled, a small one, but real. "I already did." The shadow, silence. Not emptiness, not peace. Something in between. Elena couldn't feel her body, couldn't feel the floor, couldn't even feel where she ended. And something else began. Time didn't move. Or maybe it moved too slowly to notice. Then, a breath. Her breath. Sharp. Pain followed, not from outside, from inside, like something was rearranging her, rewriting her. Elena gasped, her eyes opened. Light, real light, faint, gray. Morning. She was lying on cold grass, outside the house, the hill. The air was still, too still. She pushed herself up. Her body responded, heavy but whole. She looked down. Her hands trembled, real, solid, hers. She turned. The house stood behind her, burned, blackened, collapsed in on itself. The windows empty, the door gone, no movement, no presence, no watching, just ruin. Elena stepped back, breathing hard. "It's over." The words felt strange, uncertain, as if something inside her disagreed. She looked down. Her shadow stretched across the ground. Attached. Still. Normal. She moved. The shadow followed perfectly, in sync. Elena let out a breath, a long one, relief, or something like it. She turned away, started walking down the hill. step by step, away from the house, away from everything. The village came into view, quiet, unchanged. People moved again, spoke again, lived again, like nothing had happened. No one stopped her, no one looked twice, as if she had never been there. Elena kept walking, past the inn, past the square, past the church, toward the road, toward the world outside. She didn't look back, not once. The train arrived on time, 6:17 p.m. Exactly. Elena stepped inside, sat by the window, hands folded, still shaking. The doors closed. The train moved, slowly, then faster. The village disappeared behind her. The trees passed. The hill faded. Gone. Elena stared at her reflection in the glass, pale, tired, alive. The light shifted. The train entered a tunnel. Darkness filled the window. For a moment, there was no reflection. Then, something moved. Behind her, in the glass, a shape, standing too close. Elena froze. Her breath stopped. Slowly, very slowly, she turned her head. The seat behind her was empty. No one, nothing. She looked back at the window. Her reflection returned. Normal, still, alone. Elena exhaled. A weak laugh escaped her. It's over. The words sounded hollow. The train exited the tunnel. Light flooded in. Her reflection sharpened. Clear. Then, it blinked. Not when she blinked. A second after. Elena's smile faded. Her reflection tilted its head. Slightly. Then, it smiled. Wider than she did. The apartment was small, clean, safe. Or at least, it should have been. Elena stood inside the doorway, keys still in her hand. Listening. Nothing. No footsteps, no whispers, no house. Just silence. Normal silence. She stepped in, closed the door, locked it once, twice. She moved through the rooms, checked everything, windows, closet, bathroom, empty, all of it. She stood in front of the mirror. For a long time, watching herself, waiting, nothing moved, nothing changed. She leaned closer. Her reflection leaned with her, perfect, normal. She reached up, touched the glass, cold, still, just a mirror. Elena let out a breath, a real one this time. She turned away, walked into the living room, sat down. For the first time, she relaxed. Her body sank into the chair, her eyes closed, just for a second. Then, a sound. Soft. Behind her. Elena opened her eyes, slowly, didn't turn, didn't move. Another sound, closer, a breath, not hers, right behind her ear, and a whisper, and so soft, so familiar, she almost didn't hear it. Ava.